What's up, guys, and welcome to Gamescript. We're looking at the Philadelphia Eagles versus the Los Angeles Rams in this one for Sunday Night Football. And it's a game where we've been gifted a low-owned captain option who I liked regardless. It's one of my favorite plays on the slate, and I'll get into it right after this. What's up, guys? Simon Edwards at Pumacom here with Heatseeker Sports, and you're watching Gamescript, looking at the Philadelphia Eagles versus the Los Angeles Rams. They're playing in LA in this one on Sunday Night Football. We got a 48.5-point total with Philadelphia as 2.5-point favorites in this one. It is a home dog situation, but I think the way that the Eagles defense has been playing lately, it might be a little bit more one-sided than some people might think. Make sure to hit that like button. I'm looking for 30 likes to put out a shorter video later on. And make sure to subscribe to the channel. Trying to get to about 1,250 before Thanksgiving. I need about 50 more to go there. So I appreciate you guys helping me out with that. And this is going to be one of the more straightforward, I think, slates in a while for Showdown that at least I've seen. It's one where I think that the way that Philadelphia's defense has been playing since after the bye week, they've just been unstoppable with their defense. It's been firing on all cylinders. I talked about it early in the season when Philly's defense was struggling, that when Vic Fangio takes over a defense, it's usually a lag on when it starts to get good. But the guy's kind of like a genius when it comes to putting together defensive schemes. And once the players buy into it and once they start getting acclimated to it, like, it usually starts to thrive towards the end of the season. And we're seeing that now. Past few weeks, the defense has just been on fire for the Eagles, and they're looking really good. The rookie cornerbacks that they drafted that were looking, like they would take a while to develop, are now developing, and they're just playing really well lately. And so it's going to give us an opportunity with a game with a 48.5-point total. The spread's only 2.5 points. I know it's in Los Angeles, but I think the Eagles have a little bit more of a lopsided situation than it appears from the spread. Let's take a look at this injury situation for both teams. I'm going to show you the Eagles injury chart here. They're missing a nose tackle. Byron Young is on IR. Devonta Smith is out. That's the biggest one for the Eagles side. They got LaRaven Clark, right tackle. He's like fourth string, looks like. Bryce Huff is out on IR. James Bradbury's out on IR. Those are two significant ones, but they've been hurt. So let's look at the Rams on the other side here. If we're looking at the Rams injury report, basically they're down to one left tackle. They're super thin on left tackle against this Eagles defense that's been on fire. Their right tackle, Rob Havenstein, is doubtful. Tyler Higbee, he's been out all season with that ACL tear. As far as their defense, look at all the IR on their defense as well. Charles Woods is out, the nickelback corner backup. I believe he's a backup. Trey Tomlinson on IR. John Johnson IR. Darian Kendrick IR. You get the picture here. There's just a ton of damage done to the Rams defense and their offense, especially their offensive line, which is important in this game because they're facing a Eagles pass rush that, look at some of these names on the Eagles pass rush here. We're looking at Jalen Carter, Jordan Davis. You got like a lot of these stud defensive players that are playing well right now. Like on the linebackers, Nakobe Dean is playing well. Quinlan Quinion Mitchell, you can. I'm not sure how well he's been playing. I know he was a target a couple weeks ago, and he was a guy that we were targeting for the other team matchup, but he ended up playing well in that game. Gardner Johnson, you got Blankenship, you got Darius Slay, you got Cooper DeJean, who's come alive, and he's the slot corner. There is a little bit of an advantage edge, I think, with Cooper Kupp facing against Cooper DeJean, just because he's facing off against a rookie, and we've seen the interviews with Cooper Kupp. Like, the guy's just a genius when it comes to route running, and facing off against a rookie might be a good situation for Cooper Kupp. That's kind of putting him as my favorite Ram on the slate. Cooper Kupp, like him and Nacua are basically trading off on who's the high scorer of the week. With the matchup this week, the weak spot on the Eagles in the beginning of the year was the slot, and then they moved DeJean in there, and he's been playing really well, so they've gotten a little bit better in the slot. But I still think that that's probably the weaker situation for these guys to attack, and that's going to make Cooper Kupp more interesting to me. Cooper Kupp is running 69% of his routes from the slot versus Puka Nacua, who runs about 33%, I believe. Let me confirm that. No, he's at 25%. So 25% for Puka Nacua, 69% for Cooper Kupp, as far as routes run from the slot. So, just overall, I think it's a better matchup for Cooper Kupp in general. Like, if you're going to have to pick between one of these guys, Puka Nacua is the cheaper guy, which is interesting because Puka Nacua, he gets a heavier target rate against man coverage, and that's what the Eagles have been running a decent amount of. Let me take a look at that real quick. Let's see here. All right, so the Eagles are running a top 10 in man coverage. They're the 10th overall in how much man coverage that they run, and that is a situation where Puka Nacua is getting a 40% target rate versus Cooper Kupp, who's getting a 31% target rate. But like I said, I think the matchup kind of leans more towards Cooper Kupp. But I think this is one of those situations where none of these guys is really going to have like a standout matchup. So I think I would basically rotate them between each other, do a lineup with Puka and do a lineup with Cooper Kupp. Just kind of rotate it. As far as the rest of these guys, Stafford is probably going to be struggling. Just because of the defense that he's facing and the damage to the offensive line. Not really a fan of Stafford tonight. Not really a fan of Kyren Williams either. Kyren Williams has been not playing that great. He has been kind of touchdown dependent, and you've seen it in these last few weeks. 10 DraftKings points, 12 DraftKings points, and 8 DraftKings points. And on top of that, the Eagles are only allowing 18.4 DraftKings points a game to the running back position anyway. So they've been one of the top defenses versus the running back. So, like, basically there's a condensed offense that we're talking about here. And, Stafford and Williams are basically, like on the out for me. So basically the only guys I'm interested in are Nacua and Kupp. On the other side, we're looking at Saquon Barkley. Saquon Barkley, 36.8 DraftKings points last week. Him and Hurts are kind of dueling on who scores the 30 points. It depends on who gets the 1 yard touchdowns. Either Saquon gets tackled at the 1 yard line and Jalen Hurts comes in and snipes those touchdowns, or Saquon, makes it a 30-yard touchdown dash and ends up getting the points for it. So, it's really been kind of ping-ponging back and forth. You can see it in Hurts, like scores too. You see every other score is like 30 points. Those guys have been dueling with those touchdowns. So I'm interested in both those guys tonight. It could be a situation too, like if you're only going to start one or the other, then to rotate those guys as well. But I think that both those guys are obviously going to be in play. AJ Brown, it's a situation with Devonta Smith is out, and it's another condensed offense. They don't invite anybody else into the inner circle when it comes to giving people opportunities to catch balls. So if Devonta Smith is out, that doesn't mean that Jahan Dotson is necessarily going to step up and have a big role, or one of these other secondary receivers. It basically means that A.J. Brown, Saquon Barkley, and Dallas Goedert are going to play bigger roles in the game. And this is especially key for Dallas Goedert because he's only at 9,600 in the captain. And, Dallas Goedert hasn't really been doing much. And so, his ownership is going to be kept in check tonight. And the Rams are giving up 13.9 DraftKings points a game already to the tight end position. But you can imagine that Dallas Goedert is going to take on more of Devonta Smith's role in tonight's game. So that's going to set up Devonta Smith to have a bigger game. If we look over at the man versus zone for the Rams side here, the Rams are running zone coverage at the top 5 rate. A.J. Brown is the preferred target in man coverage. Like his target rate drops from 34.7 down to about 22%. And yes, obviously Devonta Smith is out, but that's going to elevate Dallas Goedert regardless. Dallas Goedert will have more opportunities if Brown is not as elite at getting open versus zone versus instead of man coverage. So something to keep in mind with Dallas Goedert tonight. He's a cheap option. He is a guy that is going to take on a bigger workload tonight. Make sure to hit that like button. Make sure to get me to 30 likes so I can put out a shorter video later on. Make sure to subscribe to the channel. I'm looking for 1,250 before Thanksgiving. I'm at about 11.9 right now, so I need about 60 to get there. So I appreciate the help with that. I want to get there before Thanksgiving, or at least during Thanksgiving. So let's take a look at this build here. Other guys, well, let's go through some other guys here. Demarcus Robinson, he could do something tonight. He's a good guy to keep in the player pool. Cardi, I like both kickers tonight. I like the Eagles defense. Not a huge fan of the Rams defense. Not sure I like anything below that, though. Gainwell's been playing a role in some of these games, so he's been getting a decent amount of work, but he doesn't have the points to back it up. So Blake Corum's been getting a bigger workload lately. He might be a guy, if you're interested in a Rams build, to plug in with Kyren Williams. He's kind of struggling to get yardage. He's been more of a touchdown or bust guy. And none of these other guys are very interesting. These are two very condensed offenses. Atwell could be interesting if you want to go there with Atwell. He's only at 3,400. I'm really not interested in any other Eagles receivers, that's for sure. And Rams guys, I think Rams, like the cheaper Rams guys will be more interesting than the cheaper Eagles guys this week. So let's take a look here. Let's build one with a more popular captain. Let's say that Barkley is the guy that we want to put in the captain as our captain option for this first build. Barkley, I mentioned like Cooper Kupp as my Rams guy. Obviously, Hurts. Hurts is always a good guy to put in. You could put in Hurts, or you could put in, maybe A.J. Brown, depending on if you have to rotate those guys out. I'd put Goddard in there. I like his cheap price tag. Going to leave us with 3,200 per guy. Now, if I was going in this dumpster diving range, I would probably be looking at Tutu Atwell. I really think that there's no point in going cheap on these Eagles players. They never play a role. Johnny Wilson had a touchdown a couple weeks ago. Like if you're going to go there, but he only scored 7.5 points total. That was his only target in the game. They just don't give these guys bigger roles. So it's just, you're just basically burning cash at that point. I'd probably go with Tutu Atwell in this situation, and maybe Kenny Gainwell. Kenny Gainwell is about as close as it comes. You could put in Dotson if you want to roll that dice, and then Corum. You got Corum as an option too. Parkinson really hasn't done much in that expanded role. He had 8.9 DraftKings points last week. He's had 1 week with over 12 DraftKings points. There's really no good matchups against the Eagles defense lately. They've been just tearing people apart. So very tough. Like it's a crapshoot on any of those cheap guys that you want to use. That's why I don't like going expensive in the captain. But let's take Barkley out and swap him out with Hurts. Let's put Hurts in the captain instead. And maybe instead of Barkley, let's go with A.J. Brown. So we got Hurts to Brown and Goddard. Let's get Atwell out of there. That's going to leave us with 8K. We could get the Eagles D in that situation. Leaves us with 4K. You could put the Rams D. You can go double defense. Tutu Atwell, Kenny Gainwell. The same situation that we were in the first time. What I like to do here is I'm going to clear this out. I'm going to go with a Goddard in the captain. Goddard was my favorite play coming in to the slate, and I like him even more knowing that his ownership is going to be low in the captain. Going to go with Goddard. I'm going to go with Barkley, Hurts. I'm going to put Kupp in there too. It's going to leave me with 4,400 per guy. I like the Eagles defense, like I mentioned. That leaves me with 4,800. That gives me options like Cardi, Demarcus Robinson, the Rams D. You get those Tutu Atwell types of guys. Like I said, you could swap out Kupp for Nacua. Nacua's cheaper. If you do that, that's going to open up Elliott for you too. Like in a few other guys there. If you believe in more of a Rams build, now you could rotate a lineup like this all sorts of ways. If you believe in a Rams build, I think I would probably go with Nacua just because he's the cheaper option. And if we liked Stafford there, we can put Stafford. Let's put Goddard in there. He's just too good of a value. And then we got to decide between Hurts and Barkley. You're going to probably want one of these guys in every lineup. For the sake of this one, let's go with Barkley. Let's say that Barkley's able to convert those touchdowns. So we got Stafford to Nacua. Maybe we put in Cardi in this one. Going to leave us with 4,800. We could put in Robinson in this one too. Or we could go, like with one of these defenses. I think if the Eagles are going to lose, I think the Rams defense is going to have to do something to stop them. It's going to be a tough one to build for me for the Rams side, like just because all those cheap options on the bottom are all kind of trash. But like you got the options there. We could easily swap out Nacua for Cooper Kupp in the captain. That's going to leave us with 4,200. You could put in the Eagles D, the Rams D, either one of those guys. If you put in the Rams D, you'd be at a 4-2 build. I don't know how the builds are going to go. If they're going to be heavier towards the Rams side or the Eagles side, let's put Hurts in there instead of Barkley. It's going to give us 4,600. Gives us unlocks that Robinson pick again. So like all sorts of different ways you can go here. I think that Dallas Goedert's my favorite play on the slate this week. I like him as a captain. I'm going to be putting out a shorter video later on once I hit that 30 like mark. So make sure to hit that like button. Make sure to subscribe to the channel. Get me those subscribes before Thanksgiving. Going to have all sorts of content coming out for Thanksgiving. You're going to want to subscribe and sign up for the alerts so that you know when this stuff is going to get posted. And that's it for this week, guys. I will see you later on.